What's up, David? What's happening?
What's up? Long time no Godspeak.
Yes, long time, dude. I am in a much better place now. So I got through all my big milestones. Everything's good. Just let the listeners know. Propose my dissertation. Now the easy part, where you just data collect and then write up the results after you analyze those sweet data, and then we're done. So planning for internships. There's some of that, but it's not quite so hectic as it was. So good to be back, man.
Yeah, hashtag blessed. Hashtag blessed.
Oh, blessed to be back. So blessed. Holy shit, man. This has been a hell of a day, dude. I've been salty. Salty today. Even Amy said it.
There have been some people on the internet who are wrong.
Can you believe that? And more than once? And it's fine if you're wrong, but don't get opinionated. That's the frustrating part. Yeah. This guy, so there's another fucking...
You start a podcast, it's just a vicious cycle.
I know, right? Well, there's another shooting, that happened in North Carolina, in Charlotte, and so people come on the internet and decide they're experts on the subject, and this whole thing about police having a scary job is false. Data shows that that's false. They've been polled of how many people, this was the NYPD, but how many of them pulled their service pistols in the service of duty is 99% had not. That is not the statistics of a scary job, okay? And you don't even listen to that. Who cares? Because you're like, oh, well, NYPD, maybe they all lied, or I don't know what you could possibly have for the motivated reason to believe that those data are wrong, but whatever. You can go to, I think it's the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. I think that's where the source was, but it's a government site where it lists objectively the most dangerous jobs. You know what's more dangerous than that? A plumber, a crane operator, a bike courier or something like that. It's a whole slew of these weird things. You're like, wait, what? So this whole myth that being a cop is dangerous is bullshit. Okay, and right. I'm not shitting on cops. It's fine, right? This is the argument I was in. I was like, I'm not shitting on cops. I'm fine. I've got cops in my family. It's great. Amy's brothers are going to police academy right now. It's fine. But don't think that they can't do no wrong. They're humans just like us trying to do a job. And a hard job, probably. Some of it's hard.
I hate hero worship that just assumes that any profession is automatically in the right in any conflict. Like, that many generalities is going to be a problem for me.
Yeah.
Same thing with soldiers, same thing with teachers, same thing with firefighters, cops. Like, there's...
Oh, hang on, David. I heard one of those. You don't support the troops?
Oh, man, no. I don't support the teachers. Troops are fine.
Here's what I like about you, David. I was telling my wife and my mom both this at some point this week. Nothing. I don't like anything about you. Wasn't that harsh for that setup? You'll take these absurd positions, sometimes comedically, and then defend them. And it's weird because one of them was, and I'm actually using this for that stand-up comedy bit, was, I'm going to try stand-up comedy, by the way, for our listeners. That's just a thing that's happening. Was you and I were talking about different funny things, trying to develop material, and you were like, let me just say something, Jeremiah, but I think Magneto's the good guy. And you just put that out there, and I was like, oh, here's David in his fucking element here. So I was like, all right, let's hear it. This is insane. But then we went through this whole thing, and, it's just funny. So the hero worship thing, that's another thing where you're like, I don't really support the troops. I was like, wait, what? And then you explained it, and I was like, well, I'll be damned. I understand what you mean, and I have to agree. I've experienced soldiers from the outside, like being on a base, and we have a reputation around base cities, cities that are surround bases. And I get it, a bunch of us were.
Man, they were super rapey in Korea. It was pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. And I'm not going to be like, well, it's a hard job being a soldier. No, you know what?
Sometimes you just got to rape a Korean.
Yeah, well, yeah. You know what? It is tough being a soldier. You're right, but it's not so tough that you get to take away the rights of others and commit horrible, traumatic things for people. The same thing here. You can't just shoot someone in the face. Ugh. Anyway, so it's been a hell of a day, because I've been defending all these positions that seem like they shouldn't be controversial. Like, cops need better training was something I said, and it spawned this massive. I was like, dude, I roll in jiu-jitsu. I roll with a cop. He's the guy who said that. I'm just parroting what he said. I agree with him, but he was just like, oh my God, no, we're massively undertrained. That's our problem. And I was like, oh, well, there you go. And I'm like, this isn't controversial, I don't think. Maybe it is.
Maybe.
But dude, I don't know. I think everybody's getting pretty sick of these fucking shootings.
Yeah. So this guy, this football player, won't stand up during a special song. Is that weird? Is that weird that we care?
That is weird.
Like, I don't know if I'm losing my mind anymore. Ever since I came back from South Korea, I'm hypersensitive to North Korean style nationalism, and that's what it feels like to me when people get huffy that you're not going to stand up for the special America song that America loves.
Oh, and how about that? Speaking of my specific kind of spot in this is veterans, right? There was this guy who put, and this was like a viral thing. He put it up, and he's like, "I'm a veteran. You know, punks like this don't belong." But then he had this huge outpouring, I think bigger, of veterans who were like, "I am a veteran, and we literally fought so that he could do this. He could do anything he wanted. He could shit on the flag." And I don't agree that that's a great thing, but I put myself in danger so that he could do that. Like,
right.
If the day we silence those people is the day I'm scared. As a veteran, like not just as a citizen.
And these people are getting super huffy and like, oh, you don't like this country move. But where's the anger at what has it been 16 black people gunned down by cops since he started doing that? Like, where's that? That's what I don't get. I don't get why there's so much anger about a song, about a fucking song, hiding behind the flag, right? Hiding behind this veneer of nationalism, or patriotism, is that what they would call it? This veneer of loving your country and loving your rights, and then also wanting to take them away from people, and also don't be black or fuck you. That's kind of the message that these people are giving, not in so many words, but that's the impression.
Well, and what the hell is the problem with being like, I'm not real excited about the U.S. right now? He didn't even say in general. He wasn't like, fuck the U.S. Like, if you wore a shirt like that, I can understand at a football event why that would cause controversy. But right. He basically said, almost literally, I'm not real excited about the U.S. right now because of the race relations. And I'm like, yeah, that's the sentiment of probably everybody, or a lot of people. Yeah, they have different ideas of the subject. But, yeah, it's nuts, man. I don't know. I'm very passionate about this to the point where I was like yelling at like 3 black people in my program, and then I was like, why am I the guy who's yelling about this? And they're like, no, do it. We're excited to see, white people get excited about this. And I was like, dude, it's fucked up. I don't know, man. I don't feel like this should be a controversy. That's all I'm saying. People getting shot by cops, like this, we should all be like, anyone who's not a police officer, anyone who is a police officer, help police your own.
Anyone that wants to live in a country that's not a police state should be upset right now.
Yeah.
And there shouldn't even be a race issue. We should all be mad about this.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I was very encouraged to see that in Charlotte and other places, but in Charlotte, I got a good glimpse, and there was a ton of white people out there. It was like probably just as many white people as black people, which, considering it's not the Black Lives Matter isn't really their movement, I think that's good. We could do better. I'm just saying it's been getting, I think, more racially diverse for a topic that is targeting black people in particular. So, I don't know, man. I feel that's the good. You know how no, it wasn't Dr. Seuss. That was definitely not who said it.
The philosopher Seuss, yes.
Yes, the doctorate Seuss. No. Not Jimmy Stewart. What the hell is wrong with me? Rogers, Mr. Rogers, Mr. Yeah. Fucking Rogers. Hello. He said, "Look for the helpers," and that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm glad to see that there's. It's not like the one that was. Damn, this is what's sad. I don't remember which city this was in. The one where there was a very bad racial vibe, racism against white people, where they said, grab those crackers out of the car and beat the shit out of them, and they were just random white people driving by. I understand the anger, but holy shit, that's super racist. So I was like, all right, well, let's not have that. Like, that's not what we need right now. We need to stand together as a people and fight this on behalf of black people and white people. I guess white people get hurt too, but for me, it seems really important. It seems disproportionately black people. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah. So do you have any thoughts on that matter?
No, nothing new. Nothing that hasn't already been said. I'm just so sick of, if you had told me that xenophobia and racism would be this strong in 2016, I would have laughed in your face 5 years ago. Like that's the most concerning thing to me. I'm watching these polls. I'm watching. You watch 538. Nate Silver's. He tends to be pretty good at predicting statistical results of poll survey interpreting that data. Yeah. And I'm watching every day, and I'm seeing Trump's chances of winning creep up and Hillary's creeping down. And listeners of the show will know that I've never been super excited about Hillary, but I am so not excited for Trump. I really don't want him to win this election, right? So when I see that, and I see stats like 20% of Trump supporters wish slavery hadn't gone away.
What?
Have you seen that?
Holy shit! No.
Am I making that up? Was that a fever dream? I'm Googling it.
I haven't kept up on the statistics.
Trump supporters, slavery support. Let me just see what that, because I remember seeing that headline and think, yeah, here it is. Yeah, that's the thing. Exit poll says 20% of Trump supporters support slavery. This is a Time magazine. This isn't like a ragtag journal here. This is Time magazine. Let me see where the poll comes from. Exit polls from the Republican South Carolina primary reveal that 74% of voters in the state favored the Muslim ban. Trump won 41% of the group. 20% of Trump supporters did not approve of freeing the slaves, according to a January YouGov/Economist poll that asked respondents if they supported or disapproved of the executive order that freed all slaves in the states that were in rebellion against the federal government. Now, the way it's phrased, maybe they justify it by saying, like, you shouldn't free only the slaves that are in rebellion. But yeah, I don't know if they have that much nuance among Trump supporters.
I don't know. I mean, that's if it's 20% and it's about half the
right. That's what's depressing me. That's like a quarter of Americans. Look, let's be generous. Let's say 10% of Americans. Let's just say that everything's working out. 1 in 10 people is like, I wish we still had slaves. That was a morally cool thing to do. Says so in the Bible. Yeah, it's this thing where I've lived in France and I've seen racism that just shocked me, that blew me away. I was with a professor of mathematics who was black, and he's like, we were at a store, and like a map store, it was a gift store at a museum, like a place where academics would gather. And he says, watch this, watch what happens when I walk in. So I just watched, I'm like, what am I supposed to watch? He's like, watch the cashier. I watch the cashier, and she's just got her eye on him everywhere he goes, making sure he's not going to grab anything. She's not watching anybody else in the room. He's the only black guy. And then he comes forward, and he tries to buy something, and she gives him shit about it. She's like, I don't know if you really want this. It's kind of a complicated book. And he's like, yeah, I'm a professor of math. I can probably read this book. Like, it was blatant racism that I'd not been accustomed to seeing in France. And France has gotten worse since I've been there. It's gotten more xenophobic. And then I went to South Korea, and I saw blatant racism against black people again, just like Koreans just terrified of black people. They would interview us before we could teach them because they wanted to see if we were white Americans or black Americans. It was the unspoken understanding that ask any kid that's taught English in South Korea, it's something we go through. They want the parents want a face-to-face with us, and the unspoken reason is they're trying to make sure we're white. So much racism, and then I come home and I'm like, at least I'm in America. At least we've had this history of slavery, this history of Martin Luther King and civil rights movement and all these things, this terrible, ugly past that has made us so much more sensitive about racial issues today will never be as bad as these countries I've been to. And then fast forward a few years, and here we are in America where it's a coin toss from Trump being the president.
I mean, okay. I'd like to respond to what you said before I respond to the second part of that, because, yeah, that's nuts. I mean, it's been an eye-opener. I think a lot of people – okay, I listen to Dan Carlin. Do you listen to his podcast too?
Yeah, it's great podcast.
Great podcast. He has Hardcore History, which is awesome. It's about these badass historical battles and stuff, usually military stuff because it's kind of exciting. And then his other one is Common Sense, and he talks about current political situations. And it's good. But one of the things he said, too, is he started breaking this down. He says, I can't believe I've never seen race relations this bad in America.
Maybe and he reported on the LA riots. Like, he was there on the ground.
Yeah. And he goes, I don't – maybe I didn't see it. Maybe it's because it was always there, and, like, the internet is now making it obvious, or maybe it's because they finally have a candidate that's cool with racism, and it's like, oh, finally, you know?
He's like legitimizing or normalizing racism.
Yeah, like I don't,
because there used to be a social taboo. Like, it used to be, like, if you even watched sitcoms, it's like, oh, not that there's anything wrong with that. Like, there was at least lip service towards acceptance of minorities, right? And now it seems like, oh, he's just saying what we're all thinking, and I'm learning to my horror that a lot of people were thinking that, they just weren't afraid to say it.
Yeah, it's nuts. I can't. I mean, it's a dark time. I. And what's difficult is I think a lot of these people who deny that it's a problem, like they're like, oh, that person didn't get shot because he was black. And I'm like, I'm not saying he got shot because he was black. I mean, every black person isn't getting shot. I'm saying swap that person with a white person doing whatever behaviors he was doing, and you wouldn't have perceived a threat, or however it is you're seeing that person, you wouldn't have seen it the same. Or like maybe a thug or whatever it is you're...
Yeah, a white kid in a hoodie getting shot by some guy in Florida, stand your ground laws. Like, that was the first time I noticed that there was a double standard with who you're allowed to murder in this country. And then it's just gotten worse and worse. I don't know if it's more common or, like you said, maybe the internet's just making it more visible, but I don't know. It's depressing as hell.
We did that episode on social media and whatnot being Vox Populi, like the voice of the people. Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that theme more and more because this lady of the father, the wife of Scott, what's his first? Keith Scott, the guy who was just shot for reading a book. Not reading a book, but so the reports differ. Unfortunately, this is hard. But the family said he's reading a book, waiting for his kid to come home, and the police say no, he had a gun. There was no book on the scene. So who knows? And now everybody wants to see the video because like, wait, there was a dash cam video and a body cam. Let's see this. But the wife of him turned it on as the police as the altercation was escalating. She turned on her phone and she started filming to protect herself, not to protect herself, no, to make sure that there would be revenge if he got shot. This lady was so sure that this might happen to her husband just because there were police around that she turned on her video, and I'm so glad she did.
We should not have to live in fear of our policemen in this country, no matter what you're... Like, I saw somebody arguing on Facebook, and one of the many people who have gotten shot this last week and were black and unarmed, right? I don't even remember his name anymore because I can't keep them straight now, but... Someone was like, "Oh yeah, they just found out he had a criminal record. He had felonies. He had a murder rap." They were making up all these reasons, and the point you brought up is the police did not know that at the time. That's just like a post hoc thing.
How would you know that? Yeah,
right. And B, what the fuck? The police are not the executioners. They don't walk around looking for people with criminal records and shoot them. That doesn't mean you get to shoot them. Like we have a whole justice system based around factoring stuff like that in, but you don't get to be like, oh well, he had a rap sheet, murdered.
Oh, you know what's crazy is I went to go look up this. I didn't hear about the Keith Scott murdering until recently, like yesterday. I don't know how I missed it. I think it's just another body count. You know what I mean? It's almost like at the beginning of the Iraq War, they used to report how many deaths there were by day almost on the news stands. You know, I noticed that when I was in the Army, and then after a while, they just stopped. Because it was just like, dude, people are dying. You know, I think that's kind of what's starting to happen. Is it's like, oh, it's happening again. It's again. But one of the things I looked up was I was like, are you joking me? Are you joking me that this guy was reading a book? And so I looked this up, Keith Scott. And as soon as I started typing that in, the first one just says Keith Scott. It does the autocomplete. It's like, oh, do you mean? And it was like Keith Scott. The second one was Keith Scott shooting, and the next one was Keith Scott criminal record.
Yeah.
Why? Why would that be the third most searched thing? I guarantee that's because this is the just world hypothesis, right? This is a problem we have in our psychology, in our minds.
By police officers, if I'm not a bad person, this guy got shot because he was a bad person. We want to make it make sense. We want to make the world safer for ourselves by creating some rules that will keep this from happening to us.
Yeah, and you almost exactly. And it's like when a girl, it's like, oh, this girl got raped in a back alley, and they're like, what was she wearing? Yeah, what was she wearing? What was she doing? Where's she coming from the club? Was she drunk?
Why was she there so late? Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you're like, what? Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? Like, you shouldn't care. And so the same thing with this. Like, I don't care if he was goddamn Charles Manson. That police officer does not get to shoot him. And
he didn't know. That comes out later in a court of law with a jury. You don't get to just be like, shot in the face.
Well, he's a criminal. Yeah, and part of that is the reason that they say, like, so the Terrence guy, the guy who's walked up to his vehicle with his hands up, and he put his hands on his vehicle and got shot in the head and tased. They were like, oh, well, he had PCP in the car. And I was like, first of all, I don't know if he did or not. He may have planted that shit. Because if you come in and you're like, dude, I just want to let you guys know there's a police shooting involved. You know, I'm filling out my paperwork. I'm doing everything. But it was definitely an unarmed black guy. It's gone viral. Like, you're going to be like, oh, shit. Like, instantly it's going to go straight to the captains or the police chief or PR or whoever. And there's every incentive in the world to plant something or make him seem like a bad guy, so that, because these people's lives are in danger, these cops who are doing this, and I don't think violence is ever the answer, but I understand it. I'm like, dude, you pissed off a lot of people. Stop shooting black people.
Yeah.
You know, there's two things you could do if you roll up and you're like, oh shit, this could be a police shooting altercation. For whatever reason, I don't know, the person's pulled over on the side of the road. I can't even think about what would signal you off that this may be a shooting situation, but motherfucker, they pull their guns anyway. So whatever it is, think to yourself, there's two dangers in this situation, right? There's a danger I'm going to shoot an unarmed black man who's innocent, right? Or not. Who the fuck cares? I'm going to shoot an unarmed innocent black man, right? And we're going to have riots for days. And beyond the fact of just the travesty of the person dying, but I'm saying even if you're cold-hearted fuck, okay? And you're racist and whatever, think to yourself, that's my reality, and I'm going to be hunted down for days, months, maybe the rest of my life. Or there might be a scenario where a criminal, a black criminal, gets away. Which one of those is probably worth taking if you're a sociopath? I'm not saying, you know, I'm not arguing that this should be your main reasoning, but I'm thinking even if you're the sickest fuck in the world, you realize how compelling that is. You're like, yeah, I'll probably just take it easy and not pull my gun this time, maybe. Just, ugh.
We have this is not a problem in other countries. Like, we have such an armed police force. I don't know if this is just a symptom of our just having more guns per capita than any other country, and maybe that's why our police force is armed for bear now, like just armed to the teeth. That and the war on drugs and the war on terror and all these other things. It's just, we've created armies out of our police forces, and then we're surprised when they act like occupying troops instead of civil servants. Yeah. Right? In England, they have billy clubs. Like in Korea, every place I've lived, they're not walking around armed. The gendarmes in France do around monuments because those are terrorist like sites, like targets. But it's all connected. It's all connected, and it's bullshit. And that's, to answer your question about my thoughts on this whole Black Lives Matter movement. That's it. I'm in shock, and I'm angry that we even are having this discussion of that Black Lives Matter. Of course they do. The fact that we're even having this is a problem, right? Oh, well, white lives matter and blue lives matter. Yeah, we get it, but you guys aren't the targets right now, so settle the fuck down.
Yeah, that part's weird. I think the larger problem is police training, and not only training, but training, I guess, and the zeitgeist. They have this. So I've have some police friends, and I sometimes train with police officers, and there's this weird thing they do. They say bad guys, and I laughed the first time I said it because it's childish. I was like, they're like, we gotta be looking for bad guys, and I was like, bad guys. I like that. That's funny. And then he was just like, yeah, well, that's what I mean. There are some out there, and I was like, bad guys. They're bad guys. What does that even mean? That's like a child. That's like a '90s cartoon, Saturday morning cartoon thing. I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, I mean, I guess there's people who are. I mean, there are legitimate like psychopaths out there. Is that what you mean? But probably not in this town. Like, anyway, it turns out they just say that as a term. Like, if you're either like criminal or bad guy are two different ways to denote someone who breaks the law. But the danger of that is the same thing I've said on other podcasts of when you say evil, or Muslims say kufar, which is non-believer, and then it opens up. It's a qualitatively different person who then kind of deserves, or doesn't deserve, but is open to anything. Like, if something bad happens to a criminal, you're like, well, he was a criminal, Like, yeah, but any of us could have been a criminal. You know what I mean? Like, he's just a person who is also...
dehumanize someone so you feel better about shooting them if they're bad guys.
Exactly. Yeah, bad guy. I know, exactly. And I'm like, I don't think that's... But, yes, it does help with the trauma of having to take a life. Let's say some African-American runs out there, starts shooting like crazy, whatever, and you shoot him. You did the right thing, and, that happened. And, yeah, it does help with that. But it also primes you. We know what psychological priming is, where... If you say something like, hey, this is about to be a dangerous situation, and then you walk off, somebody's going to, oh shit, they're going to put their hand on their pistol because they're like, oh, I'm ready to fight. And so they're going to misinterpret, they're going to start committing those errors like we were talking about before of shooting on our black people rather than letting something go because they think it's a bad situation. I think that's the interaction effect, as we say in psychology, so like the variable that's making it hit black people way more. So I think racism, I think saying it's racism is kind of straw manning it because I don't think that's the most important variable. Wait, I think that the thing that makes that important is because they have no training. They're woefully untrained. You can Google this stuff.
Factoring in, but if we fix the training, we could control for a lot. We could cover a lot of that.
Yeah, because the thing that's stopping them from shooting white people is that extra couple milliseconds. It's not that they're so well trained or whatever. It's just that I don't perceive them as a threat, so I'm not going to be ready to shoot. Right. But in any situation with white people or black people, them being able to pull the weapon and shoot is that perception of threat, and them acting on a schema or a pre-scripted movements in their head, right? And they're waiting to flip a switch. It's like an athlete waiting for the gun. They know what their legs are going to do afterwards. They're just waiting for that gunshot. So it's the same thing with a cop pulling the weapon and shooting. They're like, I didn't think it happened so fast. I'm like, right, but that's irrelevant. You shouldn't have been primed to shoot before the fact anyway. And the fact that he was black is what set that over the edge and now is causing murder. So, whereas a white person, he may not even touch his gun. He may not even perceived it as a threat. So anyway, that's just the psychology part.
It's messed up and depressing, but I gave you some depressing statistics earlier from survey data. There is some good news. There's let's land on a more optimistic note, unless there's something else you want to talk about with police brutality.
I feel like there was, but I forgot. So I'll bring it up later if it comes up.
Okay. Here's the good news. Religion in America. America's still it's the most religious developed country in the world.
Yeah.
That's not the good news, but guess what the largest faith group is? How many evangelicals percentage-wise would you get? White evangelicals, would you say, are in America?
80.
16% of Americans are white evangelicals. Catholics, 21%. The largest faith group in the United States currently are the nuns. The ones who say they don't believe in any kind of religion. They're not in an organized religion. Now, we've not the nuns like the Catholic nuns, but the nuns, N-O-N-E-S. Now, whenever I bring this up, the response is, well, that doesn't make them atheists. They just don't go to church. Like, they might be spiritual. They might have a personal relationship with God. And it's true because there's something about the word atheism, that an atheist that we've talked about is kind of toxic to people. Like, they don't want to self-identify as atheist, or if you see it on a survey. Like, I've seen survey results that say, let's say 3% of Americans are atheists and 6% say they don't believe in God. And you're like, what? That's the same thing. But the second one is less scary on a questionnaire.
Right.
So I've always downplayed this, like, nuns. I'm like, whatever, that's fine. But then a report came out called Exodus: Why Americans Are Leaving Religion and Why They Are Unlikely to Come Back. And it actually goes into this group of the nuns. It's done by the Public Religion Research Institute. So they're trying to figure out why millennials specifically, because we're the largest group of nuns, are leaving religion. And they found out that of the nuns, of that 25% of the American population, 7% say they are looking for a religion to belong to. Only 7%. And not only that, but when asked why they left, the majority of them say that it's because they stopped believing.
Oh, wow. Okay, there you
go. Listen to some of these other stats from that study. Only 18% of the nuns said that religion is important in their lives. Only 40% said they are moderately spiritual, which what does that mean, right? Like, Sam Harris would describe himself as at least moderately spiritual, and he's one of the 4 horsemen of atheism. The majority of the unaffiliated, 53%, describe themselves as neither religious nor spiritual. And they do not leave religion due to negative experiences. 60% said they simply stopped believing in religion, while 32% cited their family's lack of religious commitment. Less than a third, 29%, said negative religious teachings about gays and lesbians was important to why they left their childhood religion, and 19% cited the clergy's sex abuse crisis. Now, I would have assumed those numbers were higher. I would have thought that, like, religion was shooting itself in the foot with gays and, like, raping children. But most people just stop believing because the internet's a thing.
Huh. Yeah, that's very encouraging.
Yeah. Although, here's some of the bad news. 37% of the nuns still see God as an impersonal force, so they're kind of deists, which you self-identify as a deist for a long time, so I can see that the number being kind of high.
Yeah, I don't anyway, no one knows. I don't know.
Like a force, an impersonal force.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why that's even counting as God anymore. It's just like, okay, yeah, there are forces in the universe. 22% of the nuns still say God is a person. So there are still some that are, I would classify as straight up theists. But anyway, it was a really interesting study because it shows that the number of atheists in this country, if we're looking at the numbers here, and if we're looking at 25% of Americans are nuns, and you're a stats guy, right? That's your stats tutoring time. 25% of Americans are nuns, and of those nuns, only 22% of them believe in God as a person. How many of the nuns do not believe in a God who's a person?
I think I missed the question. I'm sorry. I was thinking about that Vox video that we watched. That's what I was going to say about the black racism thing. Sorry. 25%, 22%. I heard the numbers.
Yes, 25%. 25% of Americans are nuns. Of that 25%, 22% of them think that God is a person.
Oh.
So how many Americans don't think of God as a person? Either don't believe in God or believe in him as an impersonal force.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, that would be 78% of 25%, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so whatever that is.
Yeah.
Infamously in podcasting, you're not supposed to do math on air, so I'm not going to attempt it.
But the point is, that's a way bigger number of atheists than I would have guessed. I would have put atheism as like maybe 5% in America.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I attribute that to the complete political faux pas like you were talking about, the gays and lesbians and things, and also the internet. I mean, it's brutal.
And that's what a majority of people blame, is just they stopped believing, which I would put a lot of that on the internet.
It's kind of the vibe to just be like, I don't know, man. I don't know anymore. We're not. It's not exceptionally an American value right now to be a celebrity and to be a Christian, like a hardcore Christian. It's rare. So,
right.
in my.
And they keep just going against things that people love. Like a Mormon apostle just announced that Pokemon Go was evil.
Yeah, see, you're hurting yourself.
Yeah. He says that it's distracting people from distracting people from church and family and the things that are important. It's like, fuck you. Pokemon Go got me closer to a church than anything you've ever said.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point.
Look up Elder Ballard on YouTube. He's got a no Pokemon Go diatribe. No, but yeah, that's my little bit of good news, is that atheism's on the rise and the Mormon Church is still wildly out of step with what is cool.
Yeah. It's a huge shocker. The thing I was going to say was, so we watched this. I saw this. I'll point you guys to this video called. It's from Vox, and it's called "How the American Republican Party Went from Lincoln to Trump." I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically it. You can find it. It's very popular. It's really interesting, and it talks about, from what I heard, it's legit historically, and basically it's talking about how the Republicans, remember that Lincoln was their front runner for a while, the guy who freed slaves, and how do they get from there to this racial tension? I think it's interesting because if you look at stuff through variables, right? I know a lot of people do, and maybe even a lot of our listeners do. They look at things and they have to start parsing out the important bits. And it's like what I said about the race, the cop thing and racism. Is I'm like, yeah, that's important. The race, for sure. That's going to be your trigger. That's the thing that is the decider between whether someone's going to get shot or not. But that's not the most, that's the tip of the iceberg. The big problem is, because if you have well-trained people, you're not going to have that. And I think that's, we can kill two birds with one stone and end all police brutality by just having more, all incidences of police brutality that are pertaining to accidental shootings, mostly by training them better. But one of the things is I wish we didn't get so caught up in race and things where we could be unified. Like this thing I think is great. The Charlotte, the people, white people and black people walking together saying Black Lives Matter, that's cool. I like that. And saying release the video, because they haven't released the video of the police claims he had a gun, and the family says no, he didn't own a gun. We never owned a gun. So that's problematic. We need to know. And the fact that they're not releasing anything is shit. And did you know that North Carolina just passed a law that said that it's illegal to release any dash cam or body cam footage from cops, and it's going into effect in October. Isn't that shitty?
Yeah.
The whole purpose of those was to provide accountability. Police have historically failed at policing their own. There's the famous 60s and 70s incident where they were all on the take from the mafia and that kind of thing. This is a legit thing that happened, and they had to, the government had to come in and sweep out tons of corruption. They're bad at this, and then every incentive in the world is to have them fudge their police reports and then corroborate it with one another. And I know they do that because some of the former policemen that were in the army would encourage us to do that shit. And I was like, I don't think that that's a good thing to do because it could open the door to all kinds of corruption. But okay, so the race thing, I think we need to look beyond race, even when it's progressive or other liberals are promoting that as the most important factor. And I mean that in
you're doing a functional analysis approach, right? Like,
yeah,
racism is definitely a factor, but if there's an efficient way of solving the problem that addresses something like training, then we should focus on that.
And say training too, be like, yeah, or say racism too, be like, hey, racism is part of this. But let me put it this way: the Republican Party. So in this video that I just referenced, this is why I referenced it. They talk about how the so race was a dividing factor as the Republican Party moved from being like this liberal North Party that helped start the Civil War to end racism or end slavery, and they slowly morphed into, bigger money started coming in there, and then after big money started coming in there, the Democrats, black people were almost all Republicans at this point, and then why the black voters went over to Democrats is really interesting. But one of the things that the rich white people tried to do was destroy classism. People were very upset about income inequality. They're like, how come I work all day and you work all day and I can't afford to feed my kids and I can't afford to have a family and you've got money coming out your ass?
Something Bernie Bros made up recently. That's not a thing that's been around.
I'm going to punch someone in the goddamn face if they say Bernie Bros again. Stop. Don't. Educated white people. It's not Bernie Bros. It's not frat people. Frat people are going for Trump, dumbasses. Like, it doesn't even agree with the statistic. Okay, you know what? I'm done. I don't have to fight that battle anymore. We're good. Okay, so, what they tried to do was poor people got mad, and black people and white people were standing together side by side and saying, fuck this bullshit, right? That's good. I like that. But what happened was the rich white people were like, oh, shit, we got a problem. When the proletariat all decide they're sick of the shit, we're done. So they go, we'll say, hey, white people, you're like us. Even though you're poor, you're like us. You can also come be the dream. It's no problem. But you just can't. You're nothing like those black people. Those poor black people are horrible. You're not like them. They can never make it to the top. And so they instilled racism. They tried to instill racism to combat that. This is on Dan Carlin's podcast too. He was talking about this. This is all historical. This isn't like this isn't a partisan issue. Or bipartisan issue. And what happened was it worked. It essentially worked, either because of those narratives or some other reason. We turned in on ourselves, and the poor white people are now voting for Trump to get to fuck poor black people and poor Hispanics. Like, we need to, this is why I'm saying, let's forget about race right now. Forget about the fact that, let's just say let's all stand together. Like, let's not divide this on lines of race. Let's say, wait a minute, no, this is about us getting our goddamn control back of the nation. And I don't know. And to address your point about the Trump thing, you said, like, you're going to live in a world where it's a coin toss away from Trump winning.
Yeah, if you factor in the margin of error, last time I checked, it was 59% chance for Hillary. That's way too close. If I was playing XCOM and the shot was 59% accurate, I would reposition before I took that shot. I wouldn't risk it.
Well, I 100%, and every source I've read, including good sources, are blaming this on putting Hillary up against him. This is a landslide. This should be a walk-in election. It should have been for Bernie too. The guy's a nobody out of nowhere. He's a democratic socialist Jew that was a super left-wing guy who wanted to reform the entire nation's healthcare system after Obamacare already passed. That's political suicide, and he got within a hair's breadth of beating her, or at least competing on a normal level. And then she steps up against Trump, and I'm like, that guy's got way more money than Bernie. And oh my God,
Nate Silver, he had a quote about that because he talked about whether or not Democrats should panic right now. And in the last part of the article, he says, perhaps Trump isn't that different from a generic Republican after all. That's one possibility for why he's doing so well. Or perhaps, more plausibly in my view, he is a very poor candidate who costs the Republicans substantially, but that Clinton is nearly as bad a candidate and mostly offsets this effect. That's the most condemning view and probably the most accurate post-mortem of our two-party political system I've ever read. Like, we have a terrible candidate, and everything that makes him terrible is mostly offset by how bad of a candidate Hillary Clinton is. I'm not saying how bad of a person or how bad of a politician, just how bad of a candidate. She is in the environment right now, in this, we hate the status quo, we don't trust the government, we don't trust corrupt politicians. They put somebody who's a lifetime career politician who has so many scandals, and even if only 5% of them have any substance at all, just in the public mind, she is viewed as a slimy reptile. And that might not be fair, and that might have something to do with sexism, or might have something to do with Fox
that's
News.
Irrelevant
but it's irrelevant when you're looking at is she a good candidate to beat Trump? She is the worst candidate.
Yeah, the reason why that's irrelevant is because I'm voting for Hillary. I think most people I know are probably voting for Hillary. Trump can't get in. That doesn't matter what I think with how good or bad of a candidate she is. Like, that's a separate argument. Like, whether I'm voting or not, yeah, I am, of course, but is she a good candidate? No, she's terrible. Like, I can hold those two things in my mind at once. I'm not an idiot. So we're not saying don't vote for her. We're just saying
definitely vote for her. Please do not let Trump win. But he was the worst choice to go up against Trump. And I'm in Colorado. I'm one of those swing states that if she doesn't win Colorado, she's fucked. So I would definitely have to vote for her. But God damn it, I hate that we're in this position now where it's like the two least popular candidates we can have.
I know, and I also hold this argument in my head at the same time as I'm still going to vote for her. The one that says, no, fuck you. I don't vote for you if you put a bad candidate up, period. But apparently it's ... and not period, because God damn it,
I went through that phase too. It's just even Trump by himself, I'm like, yeah, but how much trouble could he cause? And then he puts fucking Pence up as his VP, Mr. Theocracy himself, Mr. Drive My State into the ground, fighting losing battles against LGBT rights, and then Trump saying, hey, by the way, I'll probably make my vice president do most of everything that's not foreign or domestic. Oh, well, that's everything, Trump. That means, oh, God damn it, I can't. I have to vote for Hillary Clinton, and I'm not happy about it, but I cannot in good conscience let Pence and Trump into the White House. That's
the thing. Like, if any hope that many Americans held that he was just tomfoolery, people say he doesn't want the job. One, people say two, it's a long con, right, for the Clintons. He's committing self-sabotage. Possibly. I don't entertain these ideas, but I'm saying these are some things out there. Three, that he's running for office, but he's actually a more centrist campaign because he's given so much money for Democrats and Republicans, but a lot of Democrats too.
My thinking was he's going to be not that powerful because he's just got so many enemies, even within his own party, that he'll be like Obama, but even more impotent in office.
Right, and a lot of people were just gambling on the, hey, we don't know anything about him. That's safer than putting Hillary in office. Right. There's a lot of voters who were thinking that. As soon as he picked Pence, I was like, nope, game over. We know what he's going to do because nobody's fucking around picks Pence. And so I was like, yeah, that's a nail in the coffin.
That was the nail in the coffin for me too. Like, I'm just going to hold my nose and vote Democrat.
I can't. Yeah, I just can't. But that's the thing. If it was anyone else, and there are a lot of people who are saying this on both sides. If it was anyone else, I wouldn't vote, or I would vote for the other. I would vote for the other party.
Right. But it's like gone are the days where like Romney's and McCain's, like Republicans I disagreed with, but I wouldn't be looking at immigration laws if they won.
Yeah, we could have a conversation about. Right. Yeah. You could talk to. I feel that I could sit down at a table and talk to McCain, and we disagree about things. But I don't think I want a fist fight. And if it was Trump, I'd want to punch him in his fucking face. Like, that's a different level of voting against. And that's the thing. Like, I'd be like, fuck it, dude. You guys deserve it. Like, let a Republican in office. You guys are fucking stupid. Like, you actively worked against what we know in polls, which people are very against, are all about authenticity right now, and very against, which the opposite of that is corruption or fakeness. And she's perceived as both. You're fucking yourself. But
it's just not the most pragmatic move. But it was her turn. She earned it. So let's coronate her. And now we're in this position where 59% chance of winning.
Yeah, I heard it's
shrinking. And that's before Monday's debate, right? Like, who knows what's going to happen after the debate? Next week, she might have a huge lead, or she might be behind. Anything could happen. I don't like living in that uncertainty.
What's terrifying is the debates actually did not help her in the other in the primaries. Like Bernie was like, "Hey, can we get more of them debates?"
That's why she kept trying to get out of debates. Her polls always dropped. She was not good shows at debates.
And because she doesn't fucking answer that's the one refreshing
Trump
thing.
Sounds like an idiot on debates, but that works for him. That's his superpower. He can go up there and say the dumbest shit about Skittles, and his numbers rise.
This guy, Trump is a goddamn moron, but at least he's authentic. Like, that's what a lot of people are voting on. People
or
are dumb.
Least he comes off as authentic.
Look, voters are dumb. You can't you can argue with me and anyone, and it doesn't matter. My behavior's not gonna change. I'm gonna go vote for her. I'm just saying, in general, voters are dumb. They're gonna vote for someone based on that, because they ask her questions, she's like, well, so and so, and then she says some scripted thing and delivers it like this. It's awful. She's an awful candidate. We should be better for the job, absolutely. But right now, we're not talking about the job yet. We're not talking about how well she'll perform in the function. We're talking about getting there, and that's a whole different skill set that she's woefully in trouble for. I'm frustrated because we can't afford to put Trump in office. And she was, according to me and other people who know their shit, she was the worst idea.
Yeah.
It's the best time to put her in, but it's the worst time to test it because no one knew Trump was running, probably. Or no one knew he'd go this far.
Nobody, even the people who know what they're talking about were blindsided by Trump getting as far as he did. This is anyone's ball game. This is one of those elections where just all the expectations are being broken, all the rules are being broken, and to have it so close, like she had a 20-point lead. This is the kind of election where he could upset that because everything weird is happening this year. And she doesn't have a 20-point lead. On a good day, she's got a 5-point lead. That's when she's doing really well.
Oh, man, I know. And then it's not helping that you're fueling these conspiracies by passing out the 9/11 thing. I was like, guys, that's probably not a thing. She's probably fine. They're like, no, she's got Parkinson's. I was like, okay, shut the fuck up.
Can I just say something that one of my friends remarked, and I thought that was the smartest thing ever?
What?
Hillary, the pneumonia thing, only Hillary could take something that would make people feel a little bit sorry for her and turn it into a minor scandal.
Ugh, okay, and before anyone points fingers, here's the thing. And I said this on the other podcast, there's this thing called minimizing, okay? In couples therapy or any conflict resolution at all, ever, everyone will instantly identify this. It's called minimizing. It's very important not to do. Let me think of this. David, you're a dirty piece of shit. I fucking hate you, and you're worthless.
Whoa, okay? That was uncalled for.
That has nothing to do with my point. I just mean that. No, I'm just kidding. No. And then if you go, dude, that was uncalled for, like you did. And then I go, just fucking around a little bit. I'm just messing around. And I minimize the effect. What is the natural human psychological response every fucking time?
No, dude, don't tell me that's not a big deal. It feels like a big deal to me. Don't tell me how to feel.
Yeah, you become offended because you're like, wait a minute. You don't get to tell me it's not a big deal. And what it does is it begs, we go, no. It was a big deal, okay? So what that is you're selling short the subject. The
subjective experience of someone else.
Yeah, and then and it begs people to go, woo, boo, boo. And so something similar happens as well whenever these goddamn, like this health thing. She's like, no, I've never felt healthier. I was like, why'd you say that? Just be like, bro, I got pneumonia and I'm still on the trail, baby. And fist bump. And America be like, fuck yeah, solidarity. But instead she's like, no, fine. This is perfect health.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, this could have been turned into political hate for anyone else. Be like, oh, wow, she's got such a work ethic.
She just fucking
she's working when she's sick.
She's just a lie. Don't lie.
She's so bad at understanding what voters want right now. I don't understand why people think she's a great politician. She's doing a very important job. This should not be a contest.
Yeah, that's admirable. If you have pneumonia, you're still in the fucking, yeah, good for you. But instead she was, and I don't know, man, like there's so many times, like when, I thought it was really funny, Jimmy Fallon had her on a show, and as soon as she comes on, he's like, hey, Hillary Clinton, what a surprise. He puts on a doctor's mask, and then she shakes his hand, and then he puts sanitizer on, and she's laughing. But I think I don't understand why she didn't she's a bad candidate, because a good candidate like Obama, oh my God, he's fucking silver tongue. He would have been like, he would have said something funny and engaged in that. Instead, she just laughed and clapped and then just sat there and And I was like, this.
Between Two Ferns with Hillary, and then Between Two Ferns with Obama, because it's night and day. He's just so much better at charisma and at like winning people over through new media. Like,
and the thing is she may do better in the job than he does. No one's talking about that right now. Who cares? I agree. I think she's going to do just fine. Business as usual. She'll be Obama third term. Everyone's saying that, right? I get it. We're talking about being on the campaign trail and taking this fucking election away from Trump. We're depending on her to do it. We're like, please do this. I'm voting for you no matter what. I'm not concerned about me. I'm concerned about everyone else. And they're stupid. And they're going to do whatever they want. And lying about fucking pneumonia, chill, calm your tits, just fucking say it. Be like, yeah, dude, I got pneumonia. Like, I can't, so what that is minimizing, right? You say, nothing's wrong. And you're like, people don't pass out for nothing. That's pretty weird. And then they're like, and then finally they're like, all right, fine, we'll ask your doctor. And the doctor says, yeah, she got pneumonia. And it's like, why didn't you mention that?
They're like, oh, she had a sunstroke. She overheated. Also pneumonia. Like,
at first they were like,
pick a story, stick with that story, and then use that to your advantage. Stop being so shady. Stop being shady as hell.
Yeah. I mean, that's if their campaign would get their shit together and do that. Like, she's a strong candidate. Stop making her seem like she's a fucking weirdo.
She's way more qualified than Trump. Way more qualified.
But she's just so charismatic.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I've never known, like, to put it in D&D terms, this is like seeing a bard or a sorcerer with a 7 charisma. Like, you're like, why did you choose this class? Why are you a politician with low charisma?
Well, unfortunately, the job doesn't take as much charisma. The job, she's a hard worker. I don't think anyone deny that. Like, she's a hard worker. She probably does great in her positions, but god damn it, you're bad at being a candidate. Your charisma's terrible. Like, just Oh well. Anyway, whatever.
Anyway, that's a little mini rant. Just I don't know. Everybody vote. Everybody vote. It's. This is no time to take a moral stand. This is no time to vote Jill Stein or Johnson. You want to, or if you are, because vote for whoever you want. But if you're going to vote for Johnson or Jill Stein, at least look at them with the same scrutiny you're looking at the two major candidates with. Because I was all about Jill Stein too until I realized how anti-science she was, anti-vax, anti-Wi-Fi. Like, she's clearly pandering to the granola hippies who don't vaccinate their kids in California and cause measles outbreaks. So I cannot get behind that. And then Johnson thinks that global warming doesn't matter because the sun's going to swallow the earth. So, factor all that stuff in before you make your moral high ground protest vote.
And just, I don't know. Yeah, it's not.
It's really only one choice this time. That's it. We just got to come to terms with it.
Yeah, and I am very anti-Hillary as far as.
Oh yeah, listen back to our episodes during the primaries. We were not her fans at all, and we still are not excited about this.
Yeah, but what are you gonna?
There comes a point where you just have to, like, the moral position is to stop Trump and Pence at whatever cost.
It's like if someone was standing next to you, and they said that guy over there is a nigger, and I'd be like, hey, what the fuck? I'm very against everything you stand for, and then he puts a gun to some kid's head and goes, I'm going to shoot this kid if you protest. You're like, well, fuck, now you forced my hand. Now I got to just sit here and fucking bite the bullet.
Trump and Pence have a gun to the head of America right now. So the time for the moral high ground is past.
The strongest convictions you have, calling someone out for being a racist piece of shit, even that's got to take a back seat because you're like, well, he's going to shoot a fucking kid. I mean, we got to just watch this piece of shit do whatever he's going to do. And same thing with Hillary. I do not like Hillary, but she'll do fine. Like I said back then, I was like, she'll do fine. I just don't like anything she stands for. She's not going to be inept.
She's not going to start World War III. She's not going to start a theocracy. Well, she
might, but any of that is worth it. Like, any of those doomsday scenarios I thought of, I was like, she's pretty war hawkish. Everything. Obamacare is not going anywhere, and I think that's such shit. I think it's a great step in the right direction, but we're still pandering to insurance companies because of all the money they've got.
Yeah.
That's not what we need. We need single-payer Medicare, clearly.
Yeah, she's swinging to the center, which is not exciting if you're a left progressive, but it's better than the I don't know. We're beating a dead horse. Vote for whoever you want. Just know that if you only listen to our earlier episodes and you're like, oh, what are they doing now that Bernie Sanders didn't make it? Well, this is what we're doing. This is what the two of us are doing.
Oh, and I'm still funding. Like, Bernie Sanders, he's now electing people in swing states. He identified
getting the Senate and the House into the hands of people who aren't owned by corporations. Like, the revolution is still something worth supporting, but when it comes to the president, it's got to be Hillary for me.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Bernie, if you don't know, he's out there. He's selected like the top 10 or 15 positions that would really fuck over the Republicans and would really help the super progressive left. I mean, actually progressive left is. He selected them and he's starting to fund them. And it's awesome. Like it's been good because in like magazines, it's like, oh, these are these crazy new seats that are now hotly contested, because he only gets ones where they have a chance, where he's like, okay, this person has been in a little bit, satisfaction ratings are down, and we have a good viable alternative that polls well. Then he's like, all right, fund these people. So that's
Google Our Revolution if you want to follow more of that, because he is trying to organize a movement that will help us create a more progressive agenda for the country, taking us away from this far right and centrist bullshit.
And that's where a lot of the power is anyway. There's a piece of shit over in, I think it's in Colorado, David.
And Klingensmith.
And Jackie Rosen is fighting against him, and she has a chance. And I was like, holy shit, she's like this. She got a computer science degree back when that wasn't a thing. Like, she's very progressive. And I was like, hell yeah, dude. I haven't looked at all of her issues because she doesn't have much online, but from what she showed, it doesn't matter. You know what? I don't care. Even if she's a Jill Stein, get that dude out of there. This guy, it's so bad that Paul Ryan was like, dude, I'm going to dump $2 million into your campaign. We need you because you're a piece of shit Republican. Yeah. So
and she's outraising. It's exciting. I'm more optimistic for the Senate, for the down ticket stuff, than I am for the presidency. But vote. Just make sure you guys are registered. Make sure you vote for whoever your conscience dictates. Make sure you do your homework. At the end of the day, we can't tell you how to vote, but we will tell you how we're voting, and that's just. We got a podcast. That's all right. We don't have tax exempt status. We're not like ministers who are breaking the law and the IRS doesn't do anything about it.
Yeah, but cool. Hey, glorious return. Really appreciate it. Real quick, stop shooting fucking black people.
Okay? Yeah, real quick. If you could manage that, that'd be awesome.
If you can manage that between the next podcast in like 2 weeks. That's another thing. Our format is going to 2 weeks. So we'll do one podcast. We do our Game 3 one weekend. Next weekend we do COD 3. So this one will be actually. Are we hitting this one again next weekend? I guess we are.
Yeah, I could just I could just release this one so it's week by week, just whatever you want.
Okay. Well, we'll figure that out. But appreciate you guys listening. Thanks for all the interest. I got a lot of personal messages from people asking to put this thing back on the air a lot during the downtime. So that was very meaningful to me. So very good. Good to be doing it again.
Yes.
All right. We still don't have a sign off, David. Fuck.
Stop killing black people.
Stop killing black people.